Okay, I decided to make a video while I record, or excuse me, while I'm grading your lab. That way, hopefully, you can have some good feedback. And if you want, if you allow me to make this video public, then I give you a little bit of extra credit. But anyway, let's take a look at your lab here. Um, Obviously, the first thing we're looking at here is your hypotheses. So I'm just going to look at them, see if I can remember, kind of say them out loud. Help me remember in my head what your hypotheses were. That way I don't have to keep going back and forth. But anyway, so you think that renewable will increase. You think hydropower is going to stay the same. So you think wind will stay the same. Solar will increase. Geothermal will increase. Waste will decrease. Wood will decrease. You think solar will have the largest increase. Wood will have the largest decrease, and renewable energy will see a higher increase. So hopefully I can remember that. Looks like the only thing you're saying that will decrease are waste and wood. And then the first two, if I remember correctly, you think will remain the same. Yeah, so hopefully it should be easy for me to remember. And I won't have to go back and forth to see if your questions about your hypotheses match what you said. All right, let's take a look at your data here. So first of all, get some extra credit because you have 1, 2, 3, and then 4, right? So an extra column. Good work on that. All right, now I'll go ahead and tell you a little secret. Usually, I don't check everyone's math. I don't use a calculator and double check everyone's math. I do it randomly. Usually it's random. And then sometimes, or usually what I'll do is look for a red flag, right? And see if I can, if I need to make any calculations. So that being said, let's take a look here. So we're going from 253 to 266, right? So I'm looking at that. I know that's about 10, and that's about 10, so that's correct. So we're saying 13 out of 26. Yeah, it looks about right. Here we go. Wind, we're saying it's going from 430, about 430 something to 470 something. Yep, that's about a 40 increase. Yep, so that looks about right. Solar, we're saying it's going from 142 to 286. So basically doubling, right? I don't even need a calculator. I can see it's basically doubling, and that confirms that, and that makes sense. If you're basically doubling, it would make sense to have 100% increase. Geothermal looks like went down a little bit. That looks about right. Again, that looks about right. Waste biomass looks like you're going down a little bit. Again, that looks about right. Wood biomass down a little bit. Looks about right. Your renewable total looks like it's 870 to 9. Looks like up quite a bit. And yeah, and then finally non-renewable total. Yes, that looks right. So again, I usually just glance over these things. Notice too, I'm not even comparing your data with the data on the website, right? I only do that randomly or if there's red flags. I didn't see any red flags, so let's move forward. All right, so you were right. The consumption of renewable energy has increased. It has indeed increased, and I do remember that being your hypothesis. So let's move on. Your hypothesis was incorrect. Hydro has increased. That's good because you said it would stay the same. Likewise, you said wind energy would stay the same, so your hypothesis was not correct. That's good. Wind energy did increase. That is correct. Solar did increase, so you were correct. Geothermal did. Yep, your hypothesis was incorrect because you thought it would increase, but you're saying it decreased. Let me double check that. Yep, that is correct. Yeah, waste biomass. You were correct. It decreased. I remember that. It did decrease, and I do remember that was your hypothesis. Same here. You said what would biomass would decrease, and you were correct. It did decrease. Solar did indeed see the largest increase. In wood, you're saying wood had the largest decrease. I don't remember off the top of my head. Let's take a look. 9. Yeah, -9. I would say, assuming all your calculations are correct, then that is also correct. And yes, renewable did have the larger increase. As a matter of fact, as you can see here, non-renewable had a decrease, right? Anyway, let's keep moving forward. I think the solar saw the largest increase because it does not release any greenhouse gases. All right, so I'm going to have to put an X next to this, and feel free to correct it. But if you look at the original, let me pull it up. So hopefully when you make yourself a copy, you also go back and look at the comments, and I'll show you what I mean here. Let's take a look at this lab. Let me open it up. All right, this is the original version. So look, when you go to make yourself a copy, file, make a copy, sometimes it'll give you this option. If it does, always click it. Copy, comments, and suggestions, right? So make sure you do that, because that way you'll get the comments and suggestions. And let me show you what I mean, show you why that's relevant. If you go down here, see all these comments on the side? So here's the question we're looking at right here. Why do you think the renewable energy source that saw the largest increase saw such an increase? Right? So if you click on it, I give you a little explanation, right? Your answer should mention something unique about that particular energy source. And I can skip down, right? So again, let's go back and look at yours, compare that to what you're saying here. You're saying because it does not release any greenhouse gas emissions, right? So that is not unique, right? That's not unique to solar, right? What about, how is solar different than the rest? Other than like the methane from hydropower, the other ones don't really emit any greenhouse gas either. So again, that's why that's incorrect. You have to come up with some reason that makes it unique. And I gave this example that has nothing to do with electric energy production. But here, if you read this, it says, I'm not going to use that example. I don't want to waste any more of your time. But yeah, so again, it needs to be something unique to solar, right? What is about solar that makes it different than the rest? All right, anyway, let's move forward. Wood biomass is the renewable source that saw the largest decrease because of the air pollution it creates. Yeah, it's good, right? So that makes it unique, right? Wood biomass puts out air pollution. Now, granted, waste biomass does as well. So if I were getting really picky, which I'm not, I might, give you half credit for that and ask you to, say something else that would distinguish wood biomass from waste biomass, right? But I'm not going to be that picky. Anyway, if the overall consumption of renewable energy has increased, right, which it has, so I'm asking you, is it because we're using more energy in general, or is it because we are using more renewable energy, right? I mean, obviously we are, but is it because it because we're just using more in general, or is it specifically renewable energy? And there's a few ways you could look at it, but if you just look at your own table, right, non-renewable energy has in fact decreased, right? So one argument could be that we're just using more renewable, right? Not necessarily more in general, but basically that's a whole different lab, right? We could have a whole different set of questions on that to elaborate on that, but I don't want to do that. That's not fair to you. I think it's because Americans are using more renewable energy as opposed to non-renewables. It's the more renewable. Okay, so yeah, and that suffices, right? That's fine. This is basically like asking, okay, why are you looking at multiple years? Why not just look at 1 year? Let's look at your answer. Analyzing data from the past 3 years allows us to observe how the use of energy has changed. Good, right? Because we're looking at what we want to look at, like you said, is change over time. Like if you're just looking at static data, it doesn't really matter. If we go back to the table, solar, if we just look at 2025, solar is 286.79, right? And then compare that to hydro, it's about the same, right? Compare that to wind, it's a lot lower than wind, right? So if you were looking strictly at 2005, you might say, wow, yeah, wind, that's our main renewable energy source, and it is, according to this. But again, seeing trends is it's a whole different story, right? So yes, wind in 2025 produced more energy than the others, but again, we should look at the trend and see, well, solar is up and coming. It's it'll be up there shortly. Anyway, moving forward. Now we're gonna take a look at your graph. Percent change of energy use, good. You have the years, that's perfect. A lot of people make that mistake. They'll say percent change, but from when to when, right? And you included that. Perfect. All right. Yeah, you signed it. So you have a perfect grade, but so extra credit. Well, no, I forgot you did miss one. Anyway, watch this video. All right, so you didn't do any extra credit, and that is fine. So here we go. You normally, this would be out of 39 points, but because of your extra credit, it is out of 40. And I know this is easy math, but I'm going to pull my calculator up to show you. Okay, so like I said, it's 39 plus your 1 point of extra credit, so we're actually out of 40, right? So instead of missing 1 point out of 39, you're going to miss 1 point out of 40. So 40 minus 1 is 39, right? Divide that by 40. That's your percentage. Multiply that by the total points possible, which is 25, and you have 24.38 points. And that's it. Like I said, if you want to let me share this video for some extra credit, let me know. And it won't be applied. Well, yeah, it'll be applied to your regular extra credit as opposed to this lab. That way you can still come and make corrections to your lab if you want to.